At some point, the Buccaneers are going to run completely out of receivers. You already got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan's out. And now, Emeka Egbuka. Good Lord. The favorite to win Rookie of the Year had a couple of catches and then left in the second half with a hamstring injury. So chalk that up for a couple of weeks that he may miss minimum. But not to worry, because Johnson & Johnson stepped up.
Yes,
Cameron
they did.
Johnson, who had not had a catch. Forget about touchdowns. Hadn't had a catch. He led the team with 4 catches for 64 yards. And then, of course, you had Tez Johnson, who had 1 catch in this game. And he had never had a touchdown, but he does now. 45-yard bomb from Baker Mayfield, which one of the best catches I've seen a Bucs player have. Completely full extension, caught the back end of the ball, hung on, rolled over, popped up in the end zone, and then did, a backflip. So that's what he was dealing with. That's what Baker Mayfield was thrown to most of the day. Cam Johnson, Tez Johnson, Egbuka went out, a couple passes, 5 passes to Cade Otton, and there you have it. And still, it was enough. It was enough to beat the 49ers with a lot of help from defense, 6 sacks, a couple of turnovers, 30-19. And don't look now, but the Bucs are 5-1. And as we sit here this evening, as we're doing the podcast on Sunday night, they have the best record in the NFC, I believe.
Well, they're tied for the best record in the NFL. They are the best record in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
The only other team in the NFC to have 1 loss is the Packers, and they're 3-1-1.
They have a tie with Dallas.
They have a tie, yep. And they've also had a bye already. So they've played 1 less game. Philly's at 4-2. Washington's 3-2. They'll play tonight. You got Detroit's 4-2 now because they lost to
KC.
Mm-hmm. KC. The Bucs are 2 games up on Carolina in the division. San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams are all 4-2. So yeah,
and
the Bucs.
Atlanta plays tonight as well, or plays Monday night as well.
Yeah, but the Bucs are 5-1, the best team in the NFC. The only team in the AFC 5-1 is Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, actually they're 4-1. I'm sorry. Buffalo and Pittsburgh are 4-1. Indy's the only one at 5-1.
Indy is the only 5-1 team. Yeah.
Yep. Who had that on your bingo card?
Oh God. Well, talk about could you imagine the Super Bowl being Baker Mayfield against
Danny Dimes?
Danny Dimes, or in this case, Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Wow, that would be some matchup. Yeah, well, look, Baker certainly became Baker, and if you didn't get to see the play, it's probably going to be everywhere on your television or your inner tube, as they call it.
Third and Baker?
Huh?
Third and Baker, as they're calling it now?
Third and bake, yeah, shake and bake. Man, this dude just does not give up on anything, and there's a still shot of him completely hemmed in the pocket. Looks like he's going to go down, and you go, Baker Mayfield ran for 14 yards and a first down on this play. You're like, there's no way. He did. He escaped, made 2 guys miss in the backfield, made another guy miss on his run. Finally, another guy missed, and he ends up running for a first down. And that kind of effort, that happened 2 plays before the touchdown pass to, I believe, Tez Johnson. And the whole crowd was chanting MVP, MVP. And it was pretty electric in there. It was pretty cool. Now, there's a funny story about it. After the game, Tez Johnson, who's 7th round pick out of Oregon, hasn't had much action as a receiver so far this year. Did have probably his best game, last week in Seattle with a couple of catches. But nonetheless, he goes, so I walk off the field. He goes, I got a funny story. I walk off the field and I go to Sterling Shepard and I'm hearing this MVP, MVP. And I said to Sterling, I go, why are they saying MVP? I haven't really done much in my career yet. He goes, no, man. He goes, they're yelling that for Bake. And he goes, oh, yeah, he's definitely the MVP then. It was like, what? It was so funny to go to my timeline. You can see the audio of him telling this story. It was hilarious. But Bake is certainly in the running for that. There's no question. Look, the only team that's more injured, really, that I've seen are the 49ers. And God bless them. They lost Fred Warner to a very Chris Godwin-like injury, and got his ankle turned around, and they brought out the air cast for the fracture and all that. I mean, this 49er team just doesn't, outside of Christian McCaffrey, they're playing with the backup quarterback, obviously, and Mac Jones, who did really look. He's played great. He's 3-1. He threw for 347 yards in this game. He did have two interceptions, and those were big plays, obviously, by the Bucs defense. But I mean, they just hung in there, man. Bourne had 142 yards receiving. Like, they had guys making plays. McCaffrey ran hard, didn't run very far, but he ran hard, caught a bunch of passes. I think he caught 7 for 57. So they battled, man. They battled with everything they had. It just wasn't enough. This was going to come down to who the last man standing was, who played harder the longest and still had guys that could play. And I think it was a real gritty win by the Buccaneers. It wasn't easy. Like I said, they get to 5-1 for the first time, tying the franchise record. It happened two other times. And now it's off to Detroit, which lost to Kansas City, and everything is possible again. And you have to hope, if you're the Buccaneers, and I really don't know much about this, but you have to hope that maybe you get a Mike Evans back, since it would appear that you're probably going to be without Egbuka for a few weeks. So that would be something to watch. But man, this team, if nothing, they're resilient, Steve. Like, they overcome injuries, they overcome last minute 2-minute drives to win. Like, pretty much everything that has happened to them can happen to them. And the common denominator is Baker Mayfield down the stretch plays well enough to get them in the end zone and win games. And so I'm impressed with their makeup, their resiliency. You don't have Bucky Irving, you don't have Luke Gedeke, you don't have Chris, you don't have Mike, you don't have Jalen. Like,
You don't have Cody Mauch.
Cody Mauch is gone. Yeah. I mean, geez. I mean, if you ever contemplated getting even most of those guys that aren't out for the year back, they'd be a damn problem for anybody. And they may be now anyway. And it's purely, in my mind, it's because the quarterback is just playing at such a high level, both in his arm strength and his accuracy, but also knowing where that ball is going. Like, he throws with anticipation as well as anybody right now. He's just a hot quarterback. And Tony Romo and Jim Nantz did the game. Hello, friends. And Romo was just gushing over Mayfield the whole game. So, and about a lot of things, but mostly just his ability to kind of put the team on his back when they need him to, and he did that. He did that for the most part. But big win, man. This was huge, and like I said, hats off to the 49ers for hanging in there as long as they have. I guess it won't get easier for the Bucs. We'll have to see exactly what's going on with the injuries and Emeka Egbuka and that sort of thing. But they played really, really well. And the defense, 6 sacks. I didn't see that coming either. This is a team that struggled to get any sacks.
Well, the sacks and 2 more turnovers.
2 more interceptions and a forced fumble.
Yeah, which, that's what we've been saying. The defense has to do better. They've been a bend, don't break defense, which has caused them problems, which is why they've had to come back late in games.
That's right.
But today they get 6 sacks, which, like you said, who saw that? That's more than they've had all season, basically, right?
More than you were pretty close to it, but they haven't had that many sacks in a game in probably 5-6 years anyway.
Yep. And then the 2 interceptions as well.
Right.
That's exactly what this defense needs to do, particularly when you've got your top 4 receivers out on offense and this, help your offense out a little bit. Give them short fields. Give them the ball back. That complementary football. If the Bucs defense, and look, do I expect them to get 6 sacks every week? No. But give me a 3 to 4 a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me a turnover a week by the defense.
Yeah, just be plus. Be a plus in the turnover margin,
Exactly.
Whatever that is.
They do that, this team is really scary. With the way Baker's playing.
If they get some guys back, I mean, here's the thing. I'm looking at this receiving stat line, and Cameron Johnson, God bless him, from a Division II school, ends up leading the team in receiving with 4 catches for 64 yards, only 4 targets, and of course we know the big touchdown pass. Sterling Shepard had 3 targets, 2 catches for 51 yards. He had a big 36-yard gain. Cade Otton had 5 catches for 51. We mentioned Tez had 1 catch for 45, but it was a tutty. And Emeka 2 for 24 before he got hurt. 17 was the long. So, they're throwing it around the ball yard. They're everybody's kind of contributing. They have a pretty high percentage of catch to attempt ratio here, so I think it's fairly fair. But yeah, man, it's slim pickings now, and I wonder. I don't know. As we get closer to the trade deadline, this team doesn't do many trades. I think they'll probably go the route of just healing them up and whatnot. Um, but they definitely they can't sustain any more injuries at that position. It's just there's not going to be numbers. You're going to have to,
Yeah.
and they're likely will go out and sign some guys on the practice squad this week, if not sooner.
Well, they don't typically do trades,
No,
but you're 5-1. The
they
leader in
don't
the
typically.
clubhouse in
They
the
don't do
NFC.
5-1 too. Yeah, you're right.
This is the time that if there is someone available that can make your team better, and
Yeah.
and the cost is right, and there's
Yes.
lots of factors to weigh in it. This is the year you do it.
I agree.
I mean, right now, the playoffs start today. You're the number one seed with the bye and home field advantage.
I mean, think about that. If you had the number one seed with a bye and home field advantage, you got to win one game to be in the championship, to play to go to the Super Bowl. One game.
Yep.
And you'll be rested. Where everybody else is out there getting pounded.
So if there is someone out there that can help this team, this is the year that you go. We normally
Agreed.
don't do this, but this is the year the chips go all in. Like, and look, the cost has to work out, the fit, everything about it. Like, it's not just go grab somebody, but
yeah,
this is the year that you may make that exception or two.
So they may have to get a damn receiver if it keeps going this way. I've never seen anything like it, but like I said, the bright news is that if they get these guys back at the same time, you got more than you can put on the field. It's going to be really electric, because all those guys are pretty splashy players for the most part. But in the meantime, little hats off to the defense. They got it done when they needed to. I wasn't overly impressed with them except for the pass rush. There was one near cataclysmic play when Vita Vea runs into the punter. It was almost comical at the end of the game because you could see him kind of pleading ignorance or his case with Todd Bowles, who wasn't having it at the end of the game. That could have been a serious play, but no. Look, I thought that they were well prepared. They didn't finish drives early. When they got into the game, they kept it right there and went back and forth a few times. But yeah, anytime you can win, a game when you're lesser than yourself, when you're really trying to overcompensate for some of the losses and stuff is even bigger. It's even bigger. And now to be standing here, best record in the NFC, like you're in the driver's seat, and they're going to have to get on a plane now before next Sunday because they play at Detroit, and we just watched the Lions get beat at Kansas City. Tough matchup for them, obviously, but they got some great weapons, but I don't think that. In fact, I know the Bucs don't fear them at all, and they played up there. They won last year. They got to play a really good game, but that one's coming up. So should be interesting as they go along here, man, and try to stack these wins because Baker's playing at a high level. The offensive line, for the most part, has done its job. And I kind of like where the defense is headed, but we're still so far away to try to predict anything. And hopefully there's not a swoon there coming up soon.
Well, look at the next slate of games too.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought the schedule would start to get easier, but in reality, you're playing the Lions, who are 4-2.
Yep.
Then you're at the Saints, who are 1-5. But then you host the Patriots, they're 4-2. Who thought they would be that good?
Yeah, exactly.
You're at Buffalo. You're at the Rams. Both those teams are 4-1 and 4-2.
Yeah.
The schedule actually doesn't get easier here.
It's daunting, yeah.
The end of the year is when you start playing the Panthers, who are 3-3, and the Dolphins 1-5, and Saints 1-5, and Falcons 2. I mean, that's the end of the schedule. But you get through the next 4 or 5 weeks, which I'm not sure how you do it with your receivers, but I'm sure they'll try to figure that out. Obviously, they'll try to figure it out, but they'll come up with some plan. But you keep winning these next few weeks, and you're really in control.
Yeah, no, you are, and that's what they're hoping to do, obviously, and to try to control their playoff destiny in terms of seeding and stuff like that. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Baker. I'm impressed with some of the guys that stepped up trying to rush the passer. I'm impressed with Mac Jones. I mean, what the 49ers have done is incredible. And I know they got a long flight back. It's not going to be a happy one. But they played hard. They had a chance to win, and somehow the Bucs managed to prevail. But you can't fault them. This is getting the feel of a special season, and not just because they've only been 5-1 two other times. But it's just the character of the team. It's sort of the grittiness of the team. They really reflect their quarterback, like most teams do in the NFL, and they enjoy playing the game. They enjoy playing, for each other, with each other. Um, there's not a lot of agendas, which is big. In football, everybody wants theirs, and you can get into some serious trouble. But yeah, I I like what they've done. I like what they've done. I like the makeup of this team. I think you know they don't panic in situations, and let's face it, the quarterback is carrying them. They have a guy who's having a special season, and no disrespect to Johnson, but he is the MVP in my opinion, just because of the start they've had. All right, it was a big sports weekend in my house because not only did my family attend the Bucks game, but myself and my youngest daughter and my wife went to the Tampa Bay Lightning game, and oh boy, like a refund from that one. Somebody didn't show up, and it wasn't us. It wasn't the fans. So we'll get into that. Hey, first, get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. That's where you're going to find the beautiful watches that were made by the Breitling Company. They've been in business for over 140 years, making the best Swiss watches available. They've been at International Plaza Mall for more than 5 years. Now, you want to go to the center of the mall, go upstairs. That's where you're going to find Breitling Boutique. It's a terrific store. Go in there, spend some time, learn about these beautiful timepieces, the chronomats, the Navitimers for men, women's watches. They have sports watches that are very durable and absolutely gorgeous. And your wife or girlfriend can choose from an array of different colored wristbands. And while supplies last, and that is the key, right? While supplies last, Breitling Boutique is celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with, get this, 32 different team watches representing those teams. They are chronomat watches. They have the team colors, the logo. You have to see them. I was by Tampa Bay, the International Plaza in Tampa Bay, and I got to see in the Breitling companies in the store, there was a display of the Bucs and I believe the Jaguars watches. Absolutely stunning. Again, while supplies last. It is Breitling Boutique. It's in International Plaza Mall. Please, please let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right. So as I mentioned, kind of a spur of the moment, maybe an hour before they dropped the puck, my wife and my youngest daughter decided, let's go see the hockey game. And I'm thinking, it's week two, it's game two, playing New Jersey, who I know nothing about whether New Jersey's any good. It doesn't matter anyway. And I go there, and it's great atmosphere. Game day experience is top notch. Love where we're seating. And then I proceed to see the Lightning just play and not take many shots. And when I say many, I mean sometimes none.
How about two in the first period?
It was ridiculous, man. And I mean, how do you account for that other than I didn't think they were very good on defense. They struggled getting out of their zone. They didn't have much zone time, and when they did, they just kind of patted it around back and forth until eventually it was turned over. It was the weirdest thing. It was like I didn't get to hear, and nor do I want to hear Esposito's radio call of this game. But I mean, if he ever says shoot the puck, this is the one you'd say it 150,000 times. It was
There
incredible.
was a lot of complaining about not shooting the puck, overpassing. What
Oh
are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Typical Espo comment.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But here's what I think is Peter King would say, and just my observation from 1,000, to 20,000 feet is this. And I'm week two. Who cares? Okay, I get it. Not going to change the world. Not going to knock power lines down or anything like that. Um, but I'm wondering while I'm watching this group play, did the window close on these particular guys? I know they've added pieces and guys here and guys there, but it looked really slow to me yesterday. And you probably know better than I do, but just didn't seem to be the same player. Was Victor Hedman? And Yanni Gord scored one of the goals, and
Yep.
he's no spring chicken. I just wonder.
Well,
just
Hedman was
wonder.
dealing with an injury in camp, so
Yeah,
he's
maybe
probably
that's
not
related.
100%.
That might be related. But there's part of me that just wonders, like, have you just kind of tried to squeeze too much out of the same bunch of guys? You know,
Uh,
they just didn't seem connected for whatever reason.
They definitely weren't playing their game. They definitely weren't, they're not doing what the coach wanted them to do for sure. Like, you have creative players, and they're so good at what they do, starting with Kucherov.
Right.
Like, you don't want to discourage passing,
No, although
but you got to have more than 2 shots in a period.
Mhm.
You can't be giving up wide open looks and passing out of them when you're down a goal or 2 late.
Yeah,
And Victor
I
Hedman
noticed
did
that.
that
That's
once.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was not a good performance by the Lightning. Although
Mm.
they were down 3-0 after 1, only had 2
They made it
shots.
3-2.
They made it 3-2 after 2.
Yeah, but then in about
And
a
they gave up
span
a
of
shorthanded goal.
30 minutes, there
Yep.
was 2 more in the back of their net.
Yeah. Well, it was a bad
30
pass
seconds.
by Kucherov,
Yes, horrible. Yeah.
on the power play that led to the shorthanded rush that's made it 4-2.
Right.
And then they got another one for 5-2, and then ultimately they scored to make it 5-3. But look,
Game over.
It wasn't good. Look, it's 2 games out of 82.
Well, and I get that perspective, and I'm sounding like doom and gloom, but that's my job since Tom Jones isn't here.
Well, it's true.
I feel like, tell me I'm wrong. I just felt like they don't have much energy or pep or whatever that intangible is, to where it says, hey, let's get excited about this season and do things right. We've started. We're at home. The fans are here. Let's go. It's just they got a mixture of young and old on that team. Many of the older core players are still there, and I don't know. Like, at one point, I'll say this: their defense isn't very good, and they didn't put many pucks on net. That's for sure. But man, did you see at one point, like, Vasi started just wailing his stick on the ice, and usually that's an attention getter about some issue, right? But I don't think anything was going on. I just think he was frustrated. But you could see it. You could see it bubbling in him every time somebody would score, and there's just no answer for it.
Yeah, I don't want to read too much into 2 games. Look, they were not
I
too well
understand.
played.
I
They weren't
get
too
it.
well played games by the Lightning, but
I get it.
in a course of an 82 game season, you have 2, 3, 4 game stretches where you don't play very well. It stinks if it's the first 2 of the season, which stands
Sure you
out,
do.
and 2 at home that way.
Right.
We'll see. No, they have an afternoon game today, a
Okay.
rare weekday day game, matinee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're in Boston. They have 2 back-to-backs this week, Boston and Washington. The next 2 nights, then they have 2 on Friday and Saturday night as well. And it's 4-game road trip. So,
Oh wow.
Maybe the road will bring them together. Will
Little
play
bonding.
better. I mean,
yeah.
look, they didn't sound happy after the game on Saturday night, and they shouldn't be.
They got booed. I've never heard them in the time that I've been here get booed.
Well,
by the
it
home
was
crowd.
for not shooting.
Yes.
It really
Yes.
wasn't like booing the team so much, but it was like Hedman late passed up a wide open shot and passed it when you needed a goal or 2 to get back in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think
that's when the boos really came.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really just, shoot the puck. It wasn't, necessarily you lost. I mean, they're not happy to lose, but.
Well, he was the biggest offender when
Yeah.
it came to turtling and not shooting. I thought,
and I wonder how healthy he is. Like you said, he was dealing with an issue in
I don't know.
camp. So,
if you're out there, you got to be healthy enough, right?
well, but we know players, nobody
Well, I'm
plays
not saying
100%
he's
once
not
you get a
playing
season,
hurt.
but,
I mean,
yeah.
God, every year when the season is over, you get that list of dudes with fractures and, parts of them, falling out of them. And you're like, wow, how do these guys continue to play in this stuff? So, yeah, it's definitely a thing. But it just never felt, even when they made it 3-2, it never felt like they were really getting back into it. There's something, and then of course,
although right before they gave up the 4th goal, they were on the power play.
there were. You're right.
Up 3-2. You're like, this is your shot right here.
Yeah,
Tie
you
it.
get your shot and go for it. It just didn't happen.
Yep.
Which is weird. So we'll see. I mean, they got 4 straight on the road. Cooper's got to, galvanize them a little bit here and get them to shake off what just happened and get them pointed. It starts with 1 win. You get 1 win, then you're kind of on your way, I suppose. But man, I have not seen it. Lifeless is kind of the way I felt. I felt like They just didn't have any pep. They were just like going through the motions, so to speak. Um, yeah, it wasn't good. Like that might have been one of the worst hockey experiences I've had, and that's saying something. I go back way pre-Venick and stuff like that. It was just there wasn't anything good about it. But that's why they play the games. They'll play more, 4 on the road, see what they do, come back 2-2, 3-1, and we're talking about them contending for a Stanley Cup as usual. So that's how fast it turns, obviously, in hockey when you have that many games. Did you watch any college football over the weekend?
I did catch some of it.
Mm-hmm.
How about your guy, Big Game James?
Copy of the home game, James. You mean he is out of here,
Well,
fired.
First you lose your quarterback, and you lose to Northwestern.
True.
At home.
In that order, yeah.
Yes. And it sucks for Drew Aller being out for the year.
Yeah, no, and he was their hope, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And I don't know that one is tied to the other necessarily, but why would they do it now? Like, I never liked the idea of firing a coach in midseason because all that does is make all the other coaches look for jobs.
Yep.
And your game plans are going to suck and everything else. But you must have got to a point where he was just the narrative.
No, it's all look. I believe, because you saw Trent Dilfer get the home copy at UAB.
Yeah, you told me
there's
that.
been a lot.
Yeah,
it's all about NIL and transfer windows.
Okay,
like you need to get rid of your coach now, so you have someone in place by the end of the season, so that your recruits and everybody else doesn't leave.
Oh, okay.
And the guy's committed to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you start the search in December, recruits are changing schools. You know, all that stuff's gone. Like firing your coach now and being able to have someone ready as soon as the season's over, or if it's someone who's not employed, you could hire them beforehand or announce it. Gives you a leg up on, you know, Bill Belichick's at North Carolina. There's 70 new players on that team. Because when the coach is gone, everyone's gone.
That's insane. Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of teams that way. New coaches, and it's 60, 70, 80 players new.
Wow.
Like, you know, for continuity purposes, making the move now and having someone in place either before the end of the season because they're not employed, or, you know, as soon as the season's over, you can announce this coach is here. Mm-hmm. It's about saving recruits, about saving your players from transferring, about NIL money, about all this stuff. You know, it used to be the coaches held the cards. I could leave and go do whatever I want, and the players were screwed.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you're already committed, you're already signed. Too bad, you got to come. You know, now they don't have to. So, if you know you're going to make the change, the sooner you make it, the more you can be open about your search, right?
Yeah, no, I think you want to be at the top of the list. You don't want people wondering if you're going to have an opening or not. You want to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a huge advantage to do it the way they did. And, you know, we mentioned Trent Dilfer, like, you know, guys get fired all the time. And I think the worst thing you can do is like hang in there and have the same results. And, you know, like they were with Penn State, only getting worse quickly. You know, that's a team, that's a university with a lot of expectations. Sometimes they fulfilled them, sometimes they didn't. But I get the move. I really do. I'm not a fan of coaches being fired in midseason, however, because, you know, what it means is all your assistants pretty much know that, you know, they may be following you out the door, and they start looking for places to live and people to hook up to become coaches again, and, you know, all that stuff. So it's rarely does it work the way you intend it to. But if you're at the point where he's not providing what you need from him in terms of, like, you know, whatever that intangible is, then yeah, cut bait, you know.
Yeah, then Indiana. How about Indiana's number 3 in the country?
Look, what they did to Oregon is so impressive. I did not imagine they could go out there. I thought it'd be a competitive game. I couldn't believe that they won that football game and did it in prime fashion.
No question about it. I mean, that's
huge.
Indiana. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And
basketball
Michael
school.
Penix a couple years ago.
Right.
You know, they were good. But Kirk Cignetti came in there. And he's good. He's been fantastic.
He's got major attitude. He's built a culture quickly.
As he would say, just Google him. He wins.
Just Google me. Yeah. Now that he is him. Like, that's the dude. Like, he wanted this opportunity, and once he got it, man, he's soaring with it. You know, like, just not used to seeing Indiana in football, besting some of the better football programs in the country. It's weird. It's still strange for me, but that's exactly what they're doing. So Cignetti can coach. There's no question about that. So we had the Red River rivalry, and Texas got on top of Oklahoma, which is a nice bounce back for Arch Manning. And then Florida gave him a game, but couldn't quite finish it. At Texas A&M, they lose to the Aggies, who are a really good team. And the schedule is starting to catch up with Florida a little bit. They needed to try to go back-to-back if they could. So those two games were fairly interesting.
I was listening to the Florida post-game show on the radio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was driving home from the Lightning game. And they said after it was 14-14, I could be wrong by a couple yards and plays on this, but the Gators ran 46 plays for 86 yards.
Wow.
Did nothing offensively. Once they tied it at 14. You can't win doing that.
You can't win doing that. No.
On the road at a good Texas A&M team.
Yeah. And I don't know, like he comes and goes, but I don't think that they have the quarterback. Quarterback is such a big position in any level of football, especially this level, Division I SEC. I just don't think he's consistent enough. I don't like Lagway is just meh to me at times. They found their freshman receiver last week. This guy's an absolute stud. They rode him. The defense has been okay. They run the ball okay, but they're just not getting what they need from the quarterback position right now, I don't think. And yet, they made it a game. It's hard to win down there. A&M's a good team, all of that. But Florida would have liked to have built, on some momentum, and they just weren't able to do it. Florida State, though, meanwhile, woof. You lose to Pitt at home? What the?
Yeah, that was not good.
God. And now the team that beat Alabama is circling the drain.
Yeah, and Alabama is one of the favorites in the SEC now.
How about that?
That's why week one, as you always say, is a liar.
Week one is a liar. I mean, it's not so much in college football, but it was in this case because Alabama got off the mat, and now they're Alabama again.
Yep.
So.
And a big win for USF at North Texas.
That was that game. Look, they look like when they started this game that they're going to, we're going to go to North Texas and we're going to do everything we can to lose. Like they were turning the ball over 3 out of 4 possessions. And, and then the next thing you know, they're just like, hey, first one to 70. Like, what the hell? This team, when they put their foot on the gas, they mean it. You know what I mean? They gave up some stuff, but man, that was quite the display of points there at the end. Got a little sloppy, got a little out of hand, but they came out on top with an impressive win and scoring over 70 will catch the voters' eyes. Now they're worth, what are they ranked this week in the AP?
It's right around 20. Let me look it up real quick here, but
yeah, I think it is in the 20s, early 20s.
19.
19. Okay, even better.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they moved up 5 spots with that win.
Wow. Now I'm guessing, they would probably be right now one of the best, Power 5 teams that.
Well, I mean, the ESPN's odds will tell you Memphis has the best shot.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which they're 6-0 and already bowl eligible.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But USF plays at Memphis in a couple weeks, so
yeah, so that would be huge for them. They take them down, and they'll supplant them, I would imagine.
Old Dominion's got a shot too. They'll go undefeated most likely.
Okay.
But Memphis, North Texas was another one, but now with that loss, they
beat them. Yeah.
So those are kind of your favorites to take the non-Power 4 spot in the
college football playoffs.
So,
yeah.
USF controls its own destiny. I mean, who cares that Memphis?
That's wild, isn't it?
If everyone says Memphis is the favorite now, who cares? Like it doesn't matter. You play them, so you control your own destiny.
Yeah, and that's really all you want. I mean, that would be incredible for this program. Not so sure how long you'd have your same head coach and or quarterback after that happened, but
hey, you take me to the college football playoff.
You'll sacrifice the head coach for that.
It's better than let's have another 7-6 season and win a bowl game.
Good point.
To keep them. I mean,
excellent point.
Isn't the goal to win?
Yeah, it is actually.
And if your coach leaves after taking you to the college football playoff, salute him, thank him,
and then go find a way to win again.
But then go find the next coach that's going to sustain that.
Right. And in my mind, it should be easier. It's kind of like trying to hire an offensive coordinator for the Bucs. They all become head coaches after a year.
Yeah. Just go hire Josh Grizzard. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Josh might be on his way out, man. Boy, he was happy after the game. I had a chance to stop by and talk to him a little bit. Of course, impressed with Baker, impressed with their young receivers that just kind of stepped up and stepped up in a big way. It was something else. So
we're way ahead of ourselves. But if Josh Grizzard really left after the season, became a head coach,
that'd be incredible.
The fact that, but what's even more incredible about that is that all three of them weren't offensive coordinators before and hadn't called plays before.
Had not called any plays. Two of them. Well, I mean, Liam Cohen called them at Kentucky.
At Kentucky, but I mean in the
not
NFL.
In the NFL.
In the NFL. Like it's not like you brought in experienced offensive coordinator who was here 1 year and then went on to be head coach.
Right.
Like these were basically unknown, relatively unknown, non-experienced, particularly with play calling, which is what you expect an offensive coordinator to do. Particularly if you have a defensive head coach. It's not like that. Like the head coach was calling the plays.
Right.
That it would be, I mean, like I said, we're way ahead of ourselves, but it'd be one of the most remarkable things ever.
Look, I've heard the shows talk about him already. Yeah. Like it doesn't, here's the thing. If you have a top, team in the NFC or any conference for that matter, or you're winning to the point where people expect you and or you do make the postseason, that's where the candidates come from. They're offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators are on the good teams. It's just surreal that you could have 3 in 3 years. But Josh is a bright guy, man. He's only 34 years old, Yale educated. He knows what he's doing. He's a good communicator. Baker loves him. He gives them more answers than Canales did, I think. So, and he's going to get better and better as the year goes on. I mean, this is only his, 7th game or 6th game or whatever. So you got to give him credit for that, No
question.
I'm impressed with him. And look, the defense showed a pulse. They still need more pressure, I think, from the guys like Hassan Reddick and some others.
Yep.
I thought Lamonte David played a great game. He got another turnover. That was not a turnover, but he got a big sack. It
was so close to being a turnover too.
Yeah, it was. And then you did get turned. You had Dean catching the ball. So
yep,
there's a lot there. There's a lot there, and a lot of positive. And moreover, there's just a belief right now with this team. Is because it doesn't seem to matter who they run out there to play offensive line, who they run out there to play receiver, who they run out there to play running back. As long as the quarterback is upright and you can let him sort of be the conductor of the symphony, it just seems to work. It works right now because they're following Baker, and Baker gives them so much juice. So we'll see where they go from here. I'll find out today who else is injured, whether they can, get some guys back. Maybe Mike Evans comes back. Maybe. I'm not promising that by any means, but you just don't know how long this injury is going to be. They definitely need some help. If you have to go out and play the Detroit Lions with Sterling Shepard, and then the two Johnsons, Tez and Cam, I don't think that's enough. Those are smallish guys. You need your big dogs. You need your big guns, at least one of them. So we'll see what happens. But it was a hell of a weekend, hell of a Sunday. Feel bad for Warner of the 49ers getting his leg jacked up, but that's the way football is. Thanks for listening. As always, get on down to Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Check out the beautiful Navatimers, the Chrono watches. Also, they're doing the NFL's anniversary, 104th year anniversary watches of the NFL. All 32 teams are depicted, including the Bucs and others. But this is only while supplies last. So you have to get down there quickly and check out those watches for your very self. Also, sports watches for your wife or your girlfriend is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day.